There we go, Johnny boy. I hope you're looking lovely and fresh today. It's Monday morning. It's the second Monday.
I've actually got a little helper today.
Okay.
So say hello to Paul.
Hello. How are you doing? You all right?
Paul.
Fantastic.
Hello. There you go.
Hi.
So Pops is going to be on this for a little while, so you're going to go over there and play. Good girl.
So,
there we go. So yeah, no, all very, very good. Monday morning.
We're all second Monday of the year, isn't it? Second Monday.
No, it was a short week last week, but 4-day week, wasn't it, effectively? So it'd be interesting to see if this is the first week a lot of people are back, although we did get a lot of phone calls coming into the office last week. So
did you?
I think yeah. So no, it's been a very exciting first week back.
That's good news. That's good news. Let me just make sure that I've set all this to so big week this last week for me, which I'll talk about in a second, and I thought today's topic could be quite fitting on the week I've had, really, which is dealing with your emotions. Because if you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, or a go-getter, there are going to be times when things can seem a bit overwhelming. We've talked about this in the past, actually, over the course of the last couple of months. Sometimes you can get overwhelmed, or sometimes your expectations aren't met. But them emotions that come from that are overwhelm, or you might get some euphoria, then you might hit the floor. There's all these things going on, and they drive your emotions, and your emotions will then drive your behaviour. And I think that's important to just make a distinction on that, and it's about how you deal with them so in order you can progress, because sometimes it can be quite daunting if you're working on your own, or a business owner, entrepreneur, or go-getter. So have you had, when you think about your businesses and how they function, how do you deal with your emotions, John?
I think it's definitely harder in the new hybrid working environment, because I think it's like, if you're in an office, it's just like that sort of, you can almost tell, can't you? If I shared an office with you, I've known you long enough, I could almost tell when you walked in, almost like, almost the way you hang your coat up, you could almost tell, couldn't you? Those weird signals. You could say, "Oh, you okay, mate? You're right." You don't get that, do you? Obviously, someone starts from home, clock on the computer, and go straight into work. So, and I think also there's that tendency. It makes it harder for people to reach out and ask for help, or at the moment we're sort of heavily recruiting at the moment, and one of the sort of things, the message we've got to get across to the existing team is, because we're effectively a person down, is anything, don't get, if anything's just causing you to sort of get a bit anxious, or something stopping you, a bit of a roadblock in your day, just shout it out to Kerry, who's our team leader. It's all about communication. So you can't emphasize enough that communication is so powerful, and also it's not, and I think it's a sign of, it's a sign of strength, isn't it? It's not a sign of weakness. If you can just voice, put your hand up. Wasn't there some sort of Japanese manufacturing or processing thing where I think they used to use it at like car plants or something like that, where anyone on the production line could press a button and stop things working.
As soon
as they found a problem,
I don't know if I'd like that myself, but I think it's important. And I think half the issue is when you're working on your own. If you're working on your own, or you're the boss, that can cause a few issues, because, as you say, if we're working together, you might pick up on someone's vibe, but if you're the boss, you've got to give a certain vibe out, but you might feel shit inside. You've got all these things going on within yourself, and you've got to deal with them. You've got pressure from everywhere, and so it's managing them, the emotions in a way where it's productive and it's not suppressed. And because we all know, if we've all been in business for any length of time, it can crop up somewhere later on if you're not careful. And everyone thinks someone said something and you got upset about it, but it was the build up to that point that cause you the problem. So managing emotions is important, and I've got a bit of a story on that this week actually, because starting from last week, I made a plan to do something, and the and the journey over that 7 days was quite immense, really, and it's I didn't expect it. I expected a certain bit of resistance, but it brought in different emotions during that course of that week, and it was interesting how I dealt with them emotions as well, and I'll go into that in a second. But I had a plan last year. Last year. It was last year on the 31st of December. I had a plan. In fact, I've been working on this plan for a while, thinking, okay, so what have I got to do? And one of the ways I deal with my stuff, and I don't know how you deal with it, but if I've got a big vision, then I see it as folders on a desktop. So I might have 4 folders of a desktop, but they all lead into the same big vision, but they've all got their own folder because they're in their own entity. So I might have one for YouTube, or I might have one for my property business. I might have one for my coaching business. I might have one for what they call the exercise and shit like that. They'll lead into the same thing, and then what I tend to do is I'll open that file and then I'll look at that and think, well, okay, what's in there that needs to be done? So I'll prioritize what's in there. I'll have a plan on that, and then it won't go to plan. And then all of a sudden my dummy gets thrown out. That file shut, then the next file is open, or the folder's open, and then I'll look in there and see what needs to be done there. So it can be a bit overwhelming sometimes. And it's knowing, and that little system I've got there, actually, when I bring it down to reality, is literally loads of pads everywhere. I've got loads of pads. I wrote loads of stuff down, but I know there's an organization in them pads. So if I've got something in my head, I write it down. So how do you cope with things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's down to what what's it? There's 3 types of people, isn't it? Was it kinesthetic, auditory, or visual? And I mean, I'm a bit of a sketcher, so I mean, like you say, I'll just get like a sheet of A4 out, or go to a whiteboard, and you start. I mean, you've got to start just writing it down. I think also you're writing it down, and then you're starting to visualize it, hasn't it? Because in your mind, if you've got 30 tasks, all those 30 tasks are sort of fighting for space in your head, aren't they? Whereas as soon as you start writing them down, it's like actually 20 of those are just stuff that, if I get to them on Friday next week, it's not going to, like, coming back to your quadrant 2 stuff, isn't it, really? So it's, and I think it is just that. I think I was reading somewhere else, it was probably on Insta or something like that I think, as soon as you get it out of your head and onto a piece of paper, it's a massive help, isn't it? So, and I think it's, some people are like make lists, don't they, and to-do lists and stuff like that. But I mean, occasionally I would do, if I get what I call a brain dump. So if I've got so much going on, like, because I tend to be a bit of an ideas person. So I was in the office because I got my granddaughter today. I was in the office yesterday. So I thought effectively I'm a day down this week. So to pull that day back, I went in the office and got a lot of stuff done yesterday. And also it's like, and it's also being quite strict with yourself. So I was like rocking up to pay for the parking, and I could have paid sort of like, parking for like 5 or 6 hours. But I thought, no, I'm going to pay for parking for 3 hours. And that means I've got nothing to do with a polite £1.50 or something like that. It's just meant that I've got an alarm, an inbuilt alarm. That means I'm going to be as efficient as possible in those offices for 3 hours. And
that's a good tip. That's a good tip.
So because otherwise we all know, if you've got 6 hours to do something, you'll take 6 hours to do something. If you're not,
it's funny. I used to years and years ago when I used to work in the estate agents, and my ex-wife, I used to say, I've got to go in the office. If I went in the morning, say I was doing half a day. If I went in the morning, I would never do half a day. But if I went in the afternoon, I'd do half a day, because I would then say, well, no, because you'll land up virtually working the whole day because you've gone in and you're in there and something crops up. Well, if you don't go in the office till 1 o'clock, it doesn't matter what goes on before that. You've got limited amount of time to get it, and you probably do the same amount of stuff in the same amount of time. I'm a great believer in, and a friend of mine, James Lavers, his dad interviewed Tony Blair at his height when he was Prime Minister. and he said, Dad, ask him this question: how does he manage his time? And he said to Michael Labers, his dad, scheduling minutes. So if you think about it, we all go off and we schedule this for half an hour to an hour or 2 hours for this. Actually, if you say I've got 15 minutes to do this you'd be surprised what you can do in 15 minutes when you think about it. And that feeds well into my week this week on what I was doing and thinking about, okay, well, I've got a certain amount of time. I don't want to, because on Monday, it was we had Accountability Monday. I was off to my aunt's for New Year's Day, so I used my bike to utilize the time to get a 30-mile ride in. And then I thought, well, I've got to come back here and I've got videos to create. I've got some, because I've got a little plan for YouTube. And so I got into the office when I got back, and I spent just 2 hours. I thought, right, I got 2 hours to do this, and I did it in 2 hours. Had I been at home, I guarantee you I'd have done it in 6 hours. So I forced myself in a way to organise my time in a way where I had a bit of downtime, I had a bit of work, exercise, but I also made sure I did some business or some stuff towards business that was going to benefit me. But anyway, I was going to go back to this story about the emotions of this last week. So I've been working on growing my YouTube channel for a few months now, and I started it at the beginning of last year, and it was done. As a lot of people will know, I wasn't in the great headspace the back end of 22, early 23, and I had this vision of getting some content out there, and I knew by the end of the year I'd probably be in a position where I could really put some great time into this. So I did a lot of research in November, December about how to grow a YouTube channel and what to do. And I'm a great believer in one of them files that I've got. I drop down and I've got to learn lots of stuff. Now, to me, learning can be a real pain in the ass because I get overwhelmed with too much information. I try and sort of filter through the information that I need, not necessarily the stuff that I don't think I need. And then I've got an idea of what I need to do, and then I put a plan of action in place. So on Monday, I had a plan of action. Okay, I'm going to use YouTube Shorts. I'm going to get one video, cut it up into little shorts, put the video up, and then use the shorts to drive traffic to the video, right? So it's a fairly straightforward strategy, and many people have started using that strategy because YouTube Shorts have become quite popular. So I'm my YouTube channel has been very, very slow burner. It's there's plenty of people looking and they're watching, but we're not talking about massive amounts of people. So I had this idea, right? This is what we're going to do, and I uploaded all the videos to be scheduled for during the week. So I then didn't have to worry about it. That was my little 2 hour section on Monday night. That's what I set everything up, and off I went. And then the first day, I looked at the numbers. The following day, I'm thinking, oh, bit of a damp squid there. I was expecting this, big flurry of views. So I'm getting a bit despondent. So that's great. So I've gone through overwhelmed learning, and then I'm now getting despondent because I'm thinking all that stuff I've learned, I put all that effort in, and there's nothing happening. And the second day, there was a little bit more extra traffic, but it wasn't any fireworks. And then all of a sudden, I saw this huge spike in views on one of my YouTube Shorts. And we're talking about going from 10 or 11 to 2,400, literally bang, straight. It was a curve, like a line like that. And I'm thinking, wow, we've hit the jackpot. So I'm watching this and I'm looking at it. And then the following day, the next one only did 1,800. And then the next day, the next one did 800, and it started dropping. So over the course of the week, I went from despondent to euphoria to, oh my word, what's going on here? I've completely crashed. So I thought, what how do I manage that, right? So I just grabbed hold of myself and said, look, this is the first week. This is week one. You should be pleased with the increase of 2,400 as opposed to concentrating on the next two were on a downwards cycle. It's concerning because I think, well, why has it happened? What was the so I'm then trying to learn why you get spikes, so you can get all this information from YouTube. And I was looking through it, and there is something that YouTube does. It sends you onto if you're posting regular content, it will give you a seed audience, and then all of a sudden you'll get that spike, and then they'll work out really your audience amongst that response from the 2,400. Hence the reason why the following day it dropped to 1,800, and then the following day it dropped to 800, because what it's doing is it's sifting out the people that are not interested, the ones that haven't swiped up, or I've just swiped up rather than viewed, or people who haven't engaged. And I noticed the difference between the 2,400 one and the 800 one. I had a lot more likes on the 800 than I did the 2,400. So the 800 people who were looking at that video were engaging more. So I was learning from this, but what a roller coaster. So over the course of the week, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, so actually I've had 7,750 extra views during the week. I've had something like 200 likes on these shorts, and we've had something like 60 hours of view time. So the course of the week, it's an upward, and I've learned something at the same time. So we had all these emotions going on, and it's having to deal with them emotions, because it can be really despondent to see it go from 2,400 down to, I think the last one's even lower than that. It's 500, the last one. But it's managing that and understanding what, because that was my first question. What went on? I didn't sit there and think, oh, that's it, I'm a failure. I'm thinking, what went on? I need to know what went on. So I go on a quest to learn something, because I don't want to feel like that. I don't want to feel, oh, this is crap. So it's, and I sat there with a trick I use with overwhelm is I sit there and go, okay, what is it I'm overwhelmed about? And one of the things I overwhelmed about was there was too much information I was trying to get together. I had too many things together, and it's like you saying, do a brain dump. So I got a A3 size piece of paper, wrote everything down on it, and then I worked out what was a priority. And then my priority was get these 7 videos up, these shorts up. Learn, I mean, amazing stuff I've learned in the last month, 6 weeks, how to literally upload a video to a certain website where it does it all for you, right? There is things that you can not have to worry about, and I'll outsource certain things. I need to know what's going on. I need to understand it all before I can then give it to someone else to do, because I've been in that situation. Have you been in that situation, John? Someone tells you they're going to get your website going to be number 1 on the search traffic, and they do it for 2 days, and then it crashes, and you spent thousands of pounds on someone who tells you they can do something, and you've actually got nothing for your couple of grand. So I try and understand what's going on. So if I do employ someone, they start giving me, well, I can do this. Well, you're not going to do it that way. I want you to do it this way. So if you've got an understanding, you can then get the best out of the people that you employ around you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, definitely. No, and I think that's key to. I mean, obviously, you want to. It depends on how you're made up. You want to try and understand as much as possible about the processes people are going through, and also, I was listening to a really, really good audio book a while ago, and he was saying, I mean, he obviously sold his business for several millions of pounds, and he could allocate a big budget to a marketing company, but he said that when he went, obviously to the best marketing companies to say this is what I want to achieve, they allocated obviously top banana to look after his account, and he got results quite quickly, and it was all really, really good. And then of course that key person was then moved on to another client's account, because obviously his account was up and running. And of course they allocated a lesser paid individual to manage his account, and then obviously it's the actual impact that account had was dropping off. So he said when he goes to like marketing agencies now, he's like, look, this is what's going to happen. You're going to allocate a good person, but then you're going to replace it with someone that's like $20 an hour or something, as opposed to the top guy that's $50 an hour or whatever. So he said, I I want to be pretty frank with you up front. I want to be the one that employs a $20 an hour person. So I just want to work with you, so we learn together, and then I'll just pay you a retainer. But so he's basically like, I want you to teach me how to have my own in-house person, because I need to know how how it works, and I just want to have that consistency there. So and I think it is.
I think the point I'm trying to make is that I need to understand it, so when someone's talking to me about it, I can tell if they're bullshitting or not, because there's
I appreciate that. I think you're never going to know. I think there's also some success leaves footprints, isn't it? If you're working with an SEO guy or someone like that, and they say or marketing or something like that, and they say, yeah, what's a 6-month contract or a 12-month contract, immediately that's a red flag to me. Is that they're wanting to get an amount of money out of you. If someone says, oh, it's an if it's an open-ended contract, so if we're not getting you results, you can just go. To me, that's sort of a sign that he's backing his ability a little bit.
Well, I think the thing I was doing when I was getting the research done was I was looking at the people who were getting the results, and there's one particular guy who's he's been involved in editing for different YouTubers that have got millions of followers and had billions of views. And I was thinking, well, he's got the results. And I just watched an interview with him, and he was saying, do this, do this, do this, do this. And what he was talking about made absolute sense. So I think he's getting that information, so I can then say, because I could have easily sat there and watched loads and loads and loads and loads of YouTube videos for a load of people that really didn't have a clue.
Yeah.
Whereas I go to the people who, and I don't have to employ that guy. I just watch one of his YouTube videos to get that information. And that information is vital, because I don't collect information for information's sake. I collect information that I can utilize and implement. They're the two things I look at. Can I utilize it, and can I implement it? What's the point in getting that information? It's nice. It might be useful one day. I'll go and get it when I need it. And I think I've always been that way ever since I can remember when I first got into a estate agency, and they were giving me a script to write. There's a script to have when I was out doing a valuation, and I'd adapt it to my own style, because I'd worked with a few managers, and I took a little bit from this guy, a little bit from that guy, because all these little bits made sense to make a bigger picture. Because sometimes what works for one person doesn't always work for another, but there is a generic base of this works. There's a formula, and that's the formula I found. Right, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So I think but managing that emotional roller coaster as you go through it is important, because it's easy to get despondent. My emotions can literally flick you through the day. What people probably don't realize is how emotional I actually am. And it's managing that, because if you don't manage it, you could crash and burn quite quickly and lose heart. And I see it with people. I see it with people who want to be perfection. They want perfect. And this is one of the things I did like this week. None of it was perfect, John. None of it. I knew what I wanted to achieve. I don't want the production on my videos yet, but I'll deal with that later on. I'll get someone to do a jazzy production when I've got 1 million followers, not when I've got 250. So that's not important. The content's important. The way it's edited is important, but not the production itself. And I see people who are wanting to be perfect, because that's an emotion. Right? It's like, it's got to be perfect before I release it, because I'm too embarrassed about what people might think. I don't mind what they think. If I cock up, I cock up. If you've got great content, if you've got a really good business and you're good at what you do, the people will forgive you for not being perfect. I remember when I went to an office in where was it? Barkingside in Essex, and I worked in that office in 1991-92 time, and I'd been moved to that office. I'd been an estate agent for 4 years, so I was experienced. I was a good estate agent, but I'm working in an area I didn't know. Now, it was for a company that was well known, but I didn't know the area that well. And I was honest with the clients when I walk in and say, look, I've only just come to this branch from another branch, because they brought me in because they want to lift this branch. So I'm really not sure what this is worth. Now, you wouldn't expect an agent to say that, would you? You would expect an agent to say, yes, I know exactly what. So I said, I'm going to go and get the information from my colleagues and come back to you. And they would appreciate that. And I wouldn't lose the business for being honest that I wasn't perfect, because I could have blagged it. I could have made it look like I was perfect, but it's not. And so it's appreciating that these emotions can stop you from doing something if you're not careful.
Yeah, no, 100%. Well, also it's fear, isn't it? And there's like so many, and also that there's so many different things because of the way we live our lives now. We're in a world of, like you're looking at your YouTube shorts and you're getting instant feedback. I mean, you haven't got to go back. You haven't got to go back a few years ago. And if you were doing some marketing, you'd probably wait a week for a report from the marketing company. How's that marketing gone? Oh, okay, we'll run a report. We'll come back to you in a week. I mean, you've got it in. If you wanted to log in at 11 o'clock at night and say, it's just on the go. And obviously there's also a need for instant feedback. People want, I've done this. Why is it not working? So I think the impatience level is a thing there. And I think
so
I think
it's funny you should say that. I do remember back when I first opened my status in 2000. 99, 2000, and we were doing so many different things, but we didn't know what was working because you didn't have that instant gratification immediately. I can see what results are. We was doing local paper advertising. I think Rightmove was very new then. It was, it wasn't the powerhouse it is today. We had adverts in doctors' surgeries. We had adverts on the radio. We had leaflets going out. I was absolutely paranoid. I say paranoid is probably not the word. I was fastidious about making sure that if a lead came in, where did it come from? Where did they hear our name from first? I've always been that way in every business I've ever had. Is what is working so I can do more of it. But you're right. Today it's instant. It's YouTube gives you the analytics. I can see them in real time, literally real time. I can see I can't actually see who's looking at it, but I can see the numbers that are looking at a video at that moment in time. So you're right. You could spend your life looking for that instant gratification. This is working, but that's a good thing. It's a good thing.
And also it's like, there's a word, I can't remember what but sort of like a recency bias, sort of, you could say that basically. So you're looking at your videos you've done last week, and you're looking at the number of hits and stuff like that. But you'll then, for the start of this week, you're on to making some more content, and then you'll be looking at that set of reels and those set of stats. But what people won't remember, or what people won't look at, is the fact that those videos that you've cut, they're evergreen, they're in the system. So they'll still be generating.
And that's the great thing, is because that's what I've noticed, is that the shorts have driven traffic to some of my older videos, and they've only gone up by 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. It's not a massive amount, but overall, the collective, it's a big thing. It's a big thing because we've gone up to 60 hours of watch time from 2 hours. That's a massive jump in watch time for YouTube, and they'll see that, and their algorithms will pick it up and go, oh, right. And all that content there is being picked up now, and people are watching it. So there's a slow burner, but an instant burner at the same time.
Oh, it is. And the more
you see what's working.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I mean, we've all done it, haven't we? You click on something, someone's talking about a subject you like. It could be running, cycling, whatever, and then bloke gives you or a woman gives you 3 or 4 tips, and you think that's really handy. What are you going to do? You're going to click on other stuff they've done, because you're thinking, if I've got value out of this, I'm probably going to get value out of the other content they're doing, and that content could be a year old. But unless it's sort of like related to the stock market or politics or something that's got a lifespan on it, it's probably going to be as valuable now than it was 12 months ago. But that person's done nothing for it. That's just free marketing, free business.
Yeah, sure. Hey, you talk about running. How are you getting on with your running?
Yeah, no, I haven't. I've had a bad week, so I need I'm targeting 2 runs, and I've done 0. So I need to pull those out of the bag. But the good thing
is, get Get them in the calendar, mate.
I do. Yeah, and I will.
Actually, I looked at my week. I think I did 80 miles of riding. I haven't done that for a while. And I've got a goal 90 this week. So as long as I do me 90 miles, I don't mind. So I know, and that's not in one go, by the way. It's over the course.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's keeping focused on it. You know what you got to do. Have you put yourself in for any runs? Any sort of like?
No, I mean, it's like it's been crazy, and the weather was like, I mean, obviously with the floods and stuff like that, I thought, I've used that as an excuse not to go. So basically, I mean, the good thing is when I start, it's quite funny, isn't it? Because like the diet and the running sort of almost go together. So it's like, when you're eating rubbish, you think, oh, it's an excuse not to go running. Because it's going to be harder.
When you think you're pounding away with an extra few kilos around your waist, so people don't realise that actually weight, your extra 2-3 kilos. Just carry if you want to know what it's like, just carry 2 bags of sugar around with you, extra, and just do that all day, and you realise extra couple of kilos on your waist. That's what it's like. So,
a while ago, I had one of those running vests. You could put weights in them, and that's a massive thing. Like you got 4K of bags of sand in a running vest, and that just and it's quite a really, really good thing to just think as you're putting it on, especially if you're like looking to get fit and drop a few kilos. You're thinking, well, this vest is 3 or 4 kilos. It's not an insignificant amount of weight that I'm trying to lose. So.
It does help, yeah, definitely does help.
Yeah.
All right, well, listen. It's 9 o'clock, mate. I've got things to do, so thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll be in touch. I did this live on YouTube today as well, so this has gone live on Facebook and YouTube. So we'll be doing that every single week. So be lucky. Speak to you soon.
Catch you later.
Bye.
Bye.